Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. Today we are going to be sublimating on these towels from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to do 2 towels and they're going to be double-sided. I did decide that I'm going to do one of the towels using my regular ASub Sublimation Paper, and on the other towel I'm going to be using regular copy paper that you can get at Walmart. I'm not doing the premium copy paper, I'm just doing the cheap copy paper that you can get from Walmart. So this first one that I'm printing out is going to be the ASub paper. And one thing I've noticed, a lot of people are saying that you need to make sure that you've got your settings calibrated right. The only thing that I do, I print it straight from my computer. I've not changed any settings. I put it under the heat press with the heat press just hovering over top of it, just to kind of cure and let that sit for a minute, and then I pull it off to the side to let it cool down. I do this with both the sublimation paper and the regular paper. Now this is the design that I'm going to be putting on the regular printer paper, and again it is just the cheap kind, but just like I did with the ASub paper, I'm going to put this in my heat press and let it sit for a minute just to let the ink it cures it into the paper a little bit more. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know the technical terms. I'm pretty new to sublimation, but I know it helps it to press better, and I do notice that the colors are a little bit more vibrant whenever I do that. But what I'm wanting to test today is there a difference between the ASub and the regular copy paper as far as, is there a lot of bleeding? Is there a lot of ink left on the paper? And which one has the most vibrant paper? Also, this is on my ASub paper. Watch out for the edges of your prints, and where you could see that had bled, I just cut around that and cut out my designs. I always cut off the edge of my papers. So I'm going to be sublimating at 385 for 45 seconds. So with all fabrics, I always just start with a press to get any moisture out of the fabric, and I'm using the lines on the towel to find the center for my images. The first one I'm going to start with is the pumpkin that is done on regular printer paper. And this is heat resistant tape. It is the Cricut brand, it's blue, and I'm just going to use that to tape down my design. And I do use parchment paper. I get the kind that is at the Dollar Tree. You can get it at Walmart or anywhere else, but I just lay that over top of it to protect my heat press so the sublimation doesn't stain the top of my heat press. So once that has ran for 45 seconds, I'm looking at it and you can see there's a little bit of bleeding on to the parchment paper. That is normal, that happens even whenever I use ASub paper. But as far as the design detail, there isn't a lot of ink left on the paper, and the color is very bright. So this was just a black pumpkin, and the color is good on the towel, and it also did not leave a lot on the paper. So for the next design, again, I repeat the exact same steps. And once again, there's a little bit left on the parchment paper. This again was with the normal copy paper. And again, there's not much ink left on the paper. It seems like it pulled almost all of the ink into the fabric. And there is nothing that is bleeding through onto my parchment paper that I use on the bottom of my heat press. I know you can use Teflon sheets, but I do prefer the parchment paper. It's a lot cheaper, and even if it does bleed through, it's not usually that big of a deal. So this one is with the ASub paper. There is still some of the print that has come through onto the parchment paper. And I do notice that there is a little bit more ink left on the ASub paper than what there is on the printer paper. So I'm using the exact same heat settings and time settings. I'm not changing anything, but I do notice that there is more ink left behind on the ASub paper than what there was on the regular copy paper. It's not a big deal because it's still turning out just as vibrant. The color looks good. There's no lines. I don't know if you all could tell, but whenever I first printed it, it looked like there were a few lines running through my design, especially on the black designs. But whenever I press it onto the towel, it's not leaving those lines. Everything is transferring good. I don't have any complaints with the quality of the design. So for this one, I've decided to go with the love. It says, I think I love fall most of all. I decided to use that for my final design. And again, this one is on the ASub paper. And I'm still using the 385 for my temperature. I'm not changing anything, again, with the heat or time settings. I did notice with this design there was not really anything that came off on the parchment paper, and I actually am just going to save this piece of parchment paper to use with another design because nothing came off of it. But I am pretty surprised at the amount of ink that is left behind on the ASub paper compared to the amount of ink that is left behind on the regular copy paper. And that could just be because the ASub absorbs more ink than what the copy paper does. But I also would expect it to transfer more ink onto the cloth than what the copy paper does. But here you have a side-by-side comparison. Now the colors on both of these are pretty true to what was on my screen whenever I was looking at these designs. They both are pretty vibrant compared to what was on the screens. I don't have any complaints with either of these, either on the color designs or the black designs. I know these are upside down for you guys, but just trying to show you all the comparison. There's not a lot of difference, and I will be using the copy paper more whenever I do these towels because A, it's a whole lot cheaper than the ASub paper, and B, the result is just as good in my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and don't forget to tune in for the next video.